Let's take you back to this breaking news story. The MK party has placed Dr. John Hlophe on precautionary suspension. This follows MKP President Jacob Zuma's arrival from a trip to Burkina Faso and receiving a briefing about changes affected at the National Assembly without collective consultation. Consequently, the decision taken by Dr. Hlophe to remove Colleen Makubele and appoint Des van Rooyen is therefore nullified. Political analyst Dr. Fikile joins us once again. Dr. Vilakazi joins us once again. Dr. Vilakazi, I spoke to you earlier, and that was on the DA and the ANC and their machinations. But the EFF itself, the MK party itself, requires some of our attention right now. A statement that was released just moments ago by the party seems to have reversed the decision that was made earlier. That is to remove Colleen Makubele as the chief whip of the party and now to replace Colleen with Des van Rooyen. We now learn that that decision has been reversed. We also learned that the decision was made by Dr. John Hlophe as the leader of the caucus in Parliament and not by the party's top leadership. Does this show a party that is in disarray?
Oliver, it is not surprising. I think we have been seeing the decline of democracy within the decision-making processes of Umkhonto we Sizwe. I mean, this is just showing us, right, that Umkhonto we Sizwe is a dictatorship. The fact that President Zuma arrives back from Burkina Faso and is able to return, or reverse this decision is something that should tell us that that's the kind of leadership that's happening in Umkhonto we Sizwe. It's not the first time, and I think South Africans have seen how Deputy President Hlophe has been having issues, with some of the members in the leadership of Umkhonto we Sizwe. There's been something that's happening in the public domain between him and the spokesperson of the party, including, by the way, Makubele. So I don't think the decision is about necessarily Makubele herself. I think she's been doing well in Parliament as a chief whip, but I think it is a signal of power politics that we've been seeing in the leadership of Umkhonto we Sizwe, but also in its approach to actually doing political work, which is really far from being democratic. And I think this is something that is showing us again that this is a party that is in disarray when it comes to what we are believing to be principles of democracy in the country and what we are expecting of a political leadership of its caliber, which has just risen and been able to gain 15% of South African voters' confidence. But I'm not sure, leading towards 2026, whether they would be able to gain this kind of confidence that they got recently because of these kinds of decision-making processes that are far from really where we want to be as a country, democratically speaking.
Yeah, it's also curious and interesting to note that the statement that was released moments ago was not released by the party's spokesperson. It was, in fact, released by Makazela Mzobe, who's the head of presidency within the party, pointing
in
to
Parliament.
Pointing to exactly the sort of divisions that you're speaking about there. Does this mean that the honeymoon between Jacob Zuma and John Hlophe is over?
Shockingly so, it does look like it is, and I think South African politicians need to learn there is no honeymoon with President Jacob Zuma. I mean, so many politicians really have been dumped in this fashion. Recently, Flo Chivambo has been, and I think the EFF leader, Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema, had tea with President Jacob Zuma, and something happened to him, as well. So there are no romantic moments with President Zuma. He is what he is, and is going to continue to do what he does. And who knew that is going to happen to former Judge Hlophe, So these are the kinds of things that we need to continue to remember as South Africans. Who are the people that we call our leaders? He comes from an ANC past. It took very, very long for the ANC to realize that they actually had to accept the fact that President Jacob Zuma is not the kind of leader that they think he is. And I think John Hlophe is waking up to that reality today. It is a shock. It's a shock for South Africa. I don't think anybody thought that this marriage will end in this way.
Well, John Hlophe, if he does get expelled from the party, leave an indelible mark in Parliament. I can't think of, from the top of my head, Dr. Vilakazi, of any real legislative championship that had taken place or that had been led by the MK party in Parliament. Perhaps you can. What is the sort of legacy he leaves behind, if any at all, in Parliament?
To be honest with you, I think I share the sentiments that you are raising. I mean, we have been asking ourselves as South Africans, since the MK party came into parliament, what are some of the really key challenges that they've brought forward? Just in terms of parliamentary oversight work, one would have expected something from a person of Judge Hlophe's caliber to bring in perhaps some of the strong, legal arguments around the role of parliamentary oversight, perhaps do something similar to what the EFF is doing as an opposition, as the major opposition in parliament, but did not see some of that coming forth. It is dwindling a bit, and I think it's something that could be tested with time, but we don't know whether he will have a political home in the next couple of months, given the situation right now, to be able to test that on the public domain.
Yeah. Dr. Vilakazi, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your insight. Thank you so much for joining us at short notice. Really do appreciate it. That is political analyst Dr. Fikile Vilakazi commenting on the development in the MK party.